My name is Andrea Bilbo and I am the President of ADHD Europe. ADHD Europe is an umbrella organisation of patient organisations around Europe, and what we do is we advocate on behalf of people with ADHD for their rights so that they have equal access to diagnosis and treatment. But we also serve as a platform through which these organisations can collaborate and collectively provide advice, support and guidance to each other. And that's something that we do to facilitate the exchange of information. Through ADHD Europe, I have worked with Barbara Franca and the whole team of researchers on other projects, and it's through those projects that I came to the COCA project on behalf of ADHD Europe. I think it's a really important project because looking at the comorbidities, they are really important because they have a major impact on how ADHD affects people. We hear regularly from patients that they are struggling with issues like obesity, that they're struggling with issues like depression, autistic spectrum disorders, anxiety, many other problems alongside ADHD. And so I think it's important for them to know that there may be a link, and if there is a link, then we can do something to help alleviate the symptoms that go with the comorbid conditions. We as patient organisations, we really need to know that there are researchers and scientists who truly want to help the patients. Science and research takes a lot of funding, and so it's really quite a good thing that the European Commission funds this type of research, because ADHD is one of the most common developmental disorders that there is, and it's so important because it affects thousands and thousands of people across the world. It's also important for us as patients, if we're going to have a voice and advocate on behalf of families and children, adults with ADHD, we need to have the backing of the science so that people will believe us and will take it seriously and will invest in helping and supporting people with ADHD. I think it's really, really important that patient organisations and the scientists and the researchers come together. It's really clear that the patients and the scientists need to come together. It's where the science and the practical side, where the patients, the real people who are at the receiving end of the science, can be involved and have a voice. And it's really important that patients do have a voice and do have the opportunity to perhaps put their ideas forward about what they would like to see with the researchers leading. Feel that they have some ownership of the kind of research that's being done. I think it's very important for the young scientists and the researchers also to interact with patients so that they understand why they're doing the work that they're doing. They want to get their PhDs and they want to, further their career in science. But at the end of the day, why do we do it? We do it to help patients, and that's the most important thing. Children, families who otherwise would not have the right opportunities to be successful in life. To be honest, for a lot of people it is a disorder. For other people, they don't want it to be called a disorder, and it's what do we do? Where do we draw the line? Is ADHD a disorder? Is it just a neurodevelopmental delay? Is it a gift for a lot of parents who are struggling, or young adults who are in the criminal justice system? They're not going to look at it as a gift. They're certainly going to be thinking of it as some kind of disorder, disability, mental health problem. What was the question? See, I have ADHD, I keep forgetting. When the academics, the scientists think about these projects, I think it'd be really nice if there was some kind of a roundtable discussion or a forum, some kind of a forum where the patients and the researchers come together to think about what needs to happen, what can they be involved in, how can patients influence the decisions researchers make when they start to look at studies. One of the things that I think really does need to be studied are the mood cycles in women with ADHD. because we don't know a lot about girls and women, how the hormones influence the way this condition affects girls. Because we often see, girls don't get diagnosed till much later, and sometimes they don't have symptoms prepubescent. But when they hit that maturity stage, things change. And we often hear parents tell us, my daughter was perfect until she got to the age of 11, and all of a sudden we had the mood swings, we had the tempers, we had this terrible behavior. Because when we start looking at the DSM-4 and now the DSM-5, symptoms need to be in place before a certain age. With the girls, it's not. It's not very clear at that young age. So I feel really strongly that one of the areas of research must be looking at the effect of hormones on girls and also menopausal women. I think the most wonderful part of it is how people like Barbara Franca and Andreas Rief and Alejandro and all these people, how they really, really value our input. And I've been working in this field for 20 years as a parent of 2 children with ADHD, as a patient advocate. And after all this time, this is the first time that I've come across, professionals and academics and researchers who want to work with us. In my 20 years of running my organization, the only people who were running conferences and providing information were the pharma companies. And one of the problems with that was that patient organizations are not allowed to go to those meetings. And so as an organization trying to provide information to patients, it was really difficult for us to get that information. But now, with projects like the COCO project, it's giving us, the patient organizations, access to the information that we need and to have some kind of credibility, because quoting the science is what we need. We need the science because we're still fighting the stigma that's attached to this condition. We know that ADHD is so much more than taking a tablet. Medication can only treat the symptoms. I'm very involved in parent training and parenting programs, and what we do with those programs is we help change the environment, which could be the family home, which could be the school, in order that a child with ADHD can function. And that's an essential part of it. If you don't change the environment as well, then what is the point of giving the medication? And clinicians, the people who are diagnosing and treating, they need to understand that. I'm really grateful for this opportunity.